Welcome back, ladies and gents of the intertube. Which, if you've watched any of my recent videos, that's not what I'm calling you guys. But we've got another 10 things to improve State of Decay 2. I'm not going to waste any time, we're going to jump straight into it. So number 1 is a journal feature. This is taken straight from games such as GTA 4. I'm pretty certain there's one on Sims. Off the top of my head, I've suddenly forgotten games with it in. But it's basically a feature that records literally everything you do and reminds you of it whenever you need it. It was a really big thing in games like Red Dead Redemption and GTA 4, so that you could see you visited this place or somebody killed you and stuff like that. And I just think something like that would be great for State of Decay 2. So maybe you picked up a fuel backpack, or you visited this place, or this person died, or this person recovered from fatigue, or something like that. It's a really basic feature, but it's something that they could very easily implement into one of the menus. You could just add a hub onto the end, which is journal, and it's just a long feed of everything that you've done since moving into this location. It means that you can keep track of places that you've discovered and stuff like that. And maybe if you have discovered like a power plant and you can't find it on the map, you can click on it in your little journal, and bam, it shows you exactly where it is. That would be really cool to me, and it'd be nice to see something like that in game, especially if they're adding other small little comfort features like a clock. So yeah, that's number 1. Number 2 is new animations for specific weapons. Now I'm talking your sort of special weapons, like you might have come across the Fire Chief's crowbar, or, I don't know, a sniper rifle in the game that's specifically special. I think it would not only be cool to melee with guns, but to do different melee actions with weapons like baseball bats. So actually do a baseball bat-like swing, because I feel like that's what we would do in a real-life zombie situation. We would do what we're known to do. You see it in films all the time. People like use golf clubs and stuff and swing them like you would to kill zombies, and you know, it's a really typical thing, and it surprises me that we're limited to just a set amount of animations for weapons. It feels quite lazy to me, throwing a little bit of shade. But yeah, it's just one of those, another little comfort items, I suppose, that would be quite nice in the game. Number 3 is weapon camo magazines. Now this is one of the things that I spoke about when I mentioned paint jobs, and it would work the same way as in Fallout, where you find a magazine in the world, like the magazines and textbooks that you already get in-game, and you read it, and bam, suddenly you know a camo. And you can use the forge to add that camo to a gun. Now, I'm not talking, you know, fucking platinum and diamond and fucking Arctic polar bear camos and stuff like that. Just simple camos. So if you wanted a camouflaged gun, you can have a camouflaged gun. If you wanted just a pure black gun, you can have a pure black gun. Maybe you can get a gold gun. But it would be very simple, and they're just like little things that you can maybe work towards in the future. Now number 4, more details on the consequence of not helping people. Now when you don't help I kind of want like a telltale system where, you know, when you don't help people, it doesn't really tell you what's going to happen after that. So it doesn't tell you if those people are going to leave. It doesn't tell you if, you know, those people are going to then become hostile. It doesn't tell you, you know, how many people are in like the enclave that you're helping out and stuff like that. It doesn't really give you a... I suppose it's not meant to, because it keeps you more in the dark, but I think the option to have it would be a lot nicer. I'd rather have the option to have it and then pick for myself whether it's enabled or disabled, than just not having the option at all. So yeah, that's like a little thing that would just be nice. Also, I'm hoping I haven't written this down in the future, but a timer for missions, because you can see missions on here like local disturbance, which I haven't done yet. It doesn't tell you how long's left on it, and again, I guess the whole point is to keep you in the dark, but it would just be nice to have the option. So yeah, that is number 4. Number 5, larger enclaves. Now I have been told that people are coming across like 7-man enemy enclaves and stuff like that. I've not seen enclaves bigger than like 3 people. But it would be really, really cool to have a friendly enclave with like 8 people in it, and they're in like a big ass fucking base. Some of the enclaves are in the preset, you know, like the container fort, the self-storage, the bridge fort. Some of the enclaves are in those types of places, so it's strange to me that they're limited to 3 people the majority of the time, whether they're hostile or not. It would also be cool to see enclaves in the preset houses. If like, as soon as you've settled into a base that isn't the preset house, it would be nice to see an enclave move in there and see, you know, if they build stuff. And that's another thing, enclaves don't build anything. They always keep the presets that are there. And when you've got an enclave that's stuck around for ages, like I've had the Flying Buttresses for a long ass time, they've not built anything since I've met them, which is really, really strange. It just sort of, if you're not going to put in, you know, like a timer for a mission because that ruins immersion, surely that ruins immersion more, watching survivors live with literally nothing when you have to build like 80 fucking farms not to die. So yeah, larger enclaves would be nice. Number 6, enclave base sieges. Now this is getting enclaves included in your base sieges, and it works both ways. So either an enclave attacking your base, which is a terrifying thought but realistic, or calling an enclave to come help. You've got radio access to them, and some of them give you radio, you know, help if you need it, or, you know, I try it and it don't work. But it's really, really strange to me that, you know, you can't call them in to come help you protect during a siege. Maybe you've only got like 4 people, and you're going to need some help against this big-ass goddamn siege. Yeah, it's just a little bit strange to me that enclaves don't really interact with your home base all that much. So that would be pretty cool, and obviously actually assaulting you and attacking you maybe is a little bit too much, but I would say further down the line, once you've spent maybe 30 days in-game, or maybe even just 2 weeks, they should be a thing. So yeah. Number 7, more important survivors. I want to see, you know, military generals and proper politicians and celebrities, not IRL celebrities, celebrities in-game, because we've been around for like, you know, I think it's like a year or 2 in-game. We're like a year or 2 into the actual outbreak, so people are used to it now. We should, you know, maybe we come across a vice president of the United States, and he's a survivor. Things like that, like heroes that have an actual meaning to the real world would be pretty fucking cool. And of course ones that don't. So, for example, a social media celebrity, maybe they can be a survivor and stuff like that. I just think a little bit variation in the default traits and appearances of certain survivors could be done a lot better. And that's my number 7. Number 8 is a little bit difficult, and I can see why they've not done it. It's just strange that they haven't addressed it either. Like, addressed it in terms of in-game. And that's kids. Now, this game takes a lot from this war of mine, especially when it comes to the base building and the trading system and stuff. And it's a little bit weird to me that they haven't put some kind of kid system in it. So I'm not saying I want to fucking kill kids when they get infected and shit like that.
At all.
The option to get infected shouldn't even be a thing. But the option of having kids in the game should definitely be there. And maybe when your base gets attacked, you know, they disappear until the attack's over. If, you know, they could have parents, and if the parents die, then that's it, they're gone. You know, maybe after a set amount of days in-game they grow up, and they just become a normal survivor. It's just like tiny little things from games like Sims and stuff that I'd like to add in. And just to, you know, add a little bit of variation. It's one of those that I'm least interested about, but I just thought it would be a nice little concept to talk about. Number 9. This is one that I heavily support. And this is taken from Fallout Shelter. And it is one-off locations that aren't on any of the maps. So when you've sent your people out in Fallout Shelter, you're briefly sent out to a location that they can then search and bring supplies back. I don't understand why that's not a thing in this game, because it's absolutely perfect. There should be missions where you can go to an enclave, agree to go with a group of their survivors out into a location off of the map and bring supplies back. It'd be incredibly difficult, which is what this game needs, and it'd be incredibly interesting to see where you could go. You could go to a military camp, you know, a science lab, up into the hills. You could see temporary changes in weather and climate and all that sort of stuff. It's just mad to me that that's not already a thing. Yeah, there's free maps, but, you know, you're going to get bored of those free maps. Just like everyone got bored of the original map in the first game. You're going to get bored of the maps very, very quickly. And adding in those little variations mixes things up. Like, you could go with, like, all of your people. You could literally just all of you upped and off for like an in-game day to a military base and just raided the shit out of it with your car. That could be a thing. And it's not like they haven't got the locations on the maps to do so. Because you've got all of these routes that lead off, all the possible areas to go, and it's not an option. That's one of the things that I support the most, and I think that they should put that in the game. Fallout Shelter did it perfectly,
This is gonna come in handy.
and it would fit into the game. It just works so damn well. And I'm not saying that you have to have like a permanent base somewhere off the map. It's just a temporary visiting place for you to raid every so often, and it'd probably be randomised every time. Number 10 is more product generators. Factories. Larger product consumption. Now this is getting deep. Okay, so you'll have to bear with me, but like, hear me out. So there are games like, let me think of something. Like Fable. Fable 3 had like a lot of factories in it and stuff like that, but when you bought them, nothing happened. You just, you know, you bought the building and that's it. You got a generated income. In this game, there's so many places that you could buy. Like, to get a sense of community, you could literally buy out, you know, Jolly Collie Tavern. You could buy out the Downtown Gallery. You could buy out the office, buy out the police department. You could get survivors set up in all those places, and each place produces something. And in return, you can recruit more people, and produce is bigger. And consumption of the produce is bigger. So it's just more about, you know, instead of you going into your resources and you're losing one food a day from everything that you're making, instead you would be losing fucking 30 food a day, but you'd be making 40. It's that kind of idea, and you could start providing for other enclaves and like hooking people up and seeing like travelling caravans, Fallout style, but from State of Decay, like State of Decay enclaves, travelling back and forth. It's a concept that's really, really big, but I think with a DLC they could do it. And yeah, it's not really needed, and it could be really complex, but it would mean that you'd have to travel a lot. Maybe it breaks down, maybe you have to do supply runs for certain places. You know, maybe you've got all of the power substations, you know, all along the right hand side of your map, where your outposts are. You've got all of the power generator stations, but they cost shit tons of fuel. So you've also got a fuck ton of petrol stations, and that's what your group does. They produce a ton of fuel, they provide a lot of power for all of the other enclaves, and in return the enclaves give you other stuff. So that while you're fucking around and sorting out all your power stations 24/7, you don't need to worry about going out and getting food because people are giving you stuff. They could also try taking over your power stations and things like that. And it's not just power stations, you could have clothing factories if they were to add clothing into the game. You know, little clothing stores and clothing factories. Anything food related. Water plants. There's loads in the valley that you could take over and use and provide water to the rest of the enclaves with. It's just that my issue with the game at the moment is that there's no real sense of community when you've got all of these enclaves. Like, you just sort of like run around and dot about, and you know, it's just a bit basic. There's just not a whole lot to it. And I feel like they could do so much more and it wouldn't take too much. So that was another 10 things to improve State of Decay 2. as I've said before, all of these could be added in like patches, DLC. Some of them are just hypothetical and me spitballing ideas and talking about it, trying to create conversation about the game and zombie apocalypse and stuff like that. So please try not to hate me too much for any of the bizarre ideas that I come up with. I've got roughly one more video to do of this, and then I'm done. But yeah, go check out my main State of Decay series, please. And feel free to leave comments and stuff like that and suggestions for what you think I should do. I've also got a base preview series where I like go around all the bases in the game and check everything out and, you know, preview it before moving there. So if you want to go check that out, you can. It's hidden away somewhere. But yeah, I've been Decay. Thank you for watching, and I will see you guys next time. Bye bye.